Welcome everyone to this awesome webinar we're going to have today. I'm excited to have Dr. Mark Jager of Spine Advanced here with us. He's going to be doing his webinar on innovation to revolutionize your practice while enhancing patient and business outcomes through technology. So we're super excited to have you here today, Mark. Can you say hi to everyone?
Thank you very much. Hello.
Hi. Okay, so just to give you guys a little bit of a background on Dr. Mark Jager, he is definitely a leader in the medical therapeutic technology innovation. He is the CEO of Spine Advanced Inc. and holds patents on the world's first and only treatment device combining automated laser and spinal decompression, the spine specialist laser treatment table. Dr. Jager is also an active clinical director of Spine Advanced Clinical Headquarters in Mississauga, Ontario. He is the founder of Laser Enhanced Spinal Decompression, Laser Assisted Spinal Restoration, and Laser Assisted Meniscal Decompression. Therapies aimed at enhancing patients' results through the unique combination of technology, advanced treatment methods. He received his bachelor's degree in kinesiology and health and science from York University in 1998 and his Doctor of Chiropractic degree from New York Chiropractic College in 2002. In addition to his medical device design and manufacturing endeavors, he has been in private practice since 2002, managing multiple clinical facilities and treating thousands of patients per year. So we're excited to have him on here and excited to get everything going. So what I'm going to do is pass this over to Dr. Jager, and we look forward to learning from him today. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much for that awesome introduction. All right, I guess we'll get right into the meat of it. So thank you very much for your time and attention today. Time is the most valuable thing that you can give. So we really appreciate your attendance today and your attention. So what we're going to talk about is innovation to revolutionize your practice, enhancing patient and business outcomes through the use of technology. So I'm going to ask some questions throughout the webinar, so feel free to type in the chat box. It's right to the right, and if you see that box, you can just type yes in there. The other big value of that box is that any questions that you have during the webinar, we're going to have people monitoring that chat box, and so any questions you have during the webinar, please feel free to chime them in there, and then we'll do our best to answer as many as possible during our little discussion period after the Q&A at the end. So the other thing is, I will say that multitasking, well, doesn't work all that well in these situations. If you can, try not to talk, text, tweet, Facebook, Instagram, Angry Birdsing, Pokemon Going, Ice Bucket Challenging, or backflips, especially the backflips, because you don't want to get injured. All right, so what I'd like to do first is I'd like you to take a deep breath, and I want you to think about something. I want you to think about what your dream is. That can be anything. That can be a great vacation with golf, well, with or without golf. Sometimes golf actually spoils a vacation, so all depending on your perspective. It could be a nice white Lamborghini driving down the Pacific Coast Highway. It could be a beach house on the coast of Hawaii. It could be a beautiful office. It could, full of patients and full of happy patients and happy staff. It could be the Spine Advanced Hummer. Man, that thing is fun. I can literally drive over 90% of the vehicles on the road. Can ford water up to the windshield. And even if it does get stuck, I can usually drive out of it. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And my wife thinks I'm absolutely ridiculous for having it. So other dreams, maybe you want to spend more time at leisure activities. Mountain biking, one of mine. You want to take some nice trips to Hawaii. This is us in Maui a few years ago. Maybe you'd like to just have time to watch your family duke it out with lightsabers over where you're going for dinner. Maybe you'd like to do a little bit more off-roading. Maybe you'd like to hit the gym a little bit more often. That's always a good thing. Or maybe you'd just like to know that all the bills are paid and you got it made in the shade, and all you need is an attractive member of whatever persuasion is your preference. Little Van Halen humor there for some of you. All right, so serious dream here. One of mine. You know, maybe you want to do something great for patients. Maybe you want to do something great for the profession as a whole. Maybe you want to help other chiropractors succeed. Maybe you want to help patients get the best relief that they can possibly. And professionally speaking, those are my big ones, helping patients and helping other chiropractors succeed. That became my biggest professional why. And here's a few of the docs that share that similar dream. Some of the docs that are the initial adopters of the spine specialist in action over here. So some of the media coverage that we've had with the device, some of the openings that we've done, interviews we've done, the exciting rollout that we've had quite recently. But let's go back to what's important here. I think it's a dream we all have in common, and it's a dream that is to have a practice that is successful enough to financially support a stable and happy family, while at the same time allowing us enough freedom to enjoy the time with our families. You know, what do you think the goal of your practice is? You know, is it to help patients? Is it to, you know, to support your lifestyle? Is it to employ people? There's a lot of different reasons. But your practice, bare bones, is nothing more than a vehicle to help you achieve all of those dreams. And you need to realize that this is what your practice is. It's okay if it's what gives you your income, because that income, you know, some docs struggle with paying or with charging for their services because, you know, the money and healthcare thing has always been a tough struggle and a debate for me. Some people feel bad about making a ton of money at their practice. Now, it's kind of a weird problem, but some do feel that way. And but it's okay to actually make money at your practice because you employ people, you help patients, and you live the lifestyle that you deserve to live. So on this webinar, I'm going to share with you some things that are absolutely vital and why it is absolutely vital to revolutionize your practice with technology. I promise that I'll show you why technology is ideal and why it can revolutionize your practice. I'll show you some ideas about how to enhance your practice using technology. And I'll give you some assistance with making that decision of when it's right to energize your practice with technologies and how all of these things can unchain you from your practice so you can get your life back. So how do you like that pun? You know, get your life back. All right, so are you in the right place? Well, it's pretty easy to determine that. I've got a few questions for you. Would you like to make money without doing all the labor? Would you like to attract patients that already know that you have what they have to offer? That they want what you have to offer, sorry. Would you like to take the uncomfortable convincing and selling out of your report of findings? Would you like to enhance patient and business outcomes beyond what you currently achieve? And would you like to have the benefit of new treatment tools that increase your revenue and get you excited to be at work? And if you answered yes to even 4 of these questions, 2 of these questions, you're absolutely in the right place, because I'm going to show you how to do all of that through inclusion of technology in your practice. So as I mentioned, you know, my story becomes your why. My story was helping people. That was my big why, helping people. And then we got a few more whys, you know, paying bills, supporting family, and actually living outside of your work and having the resources to do so. And like many of you on this call, I'm sure, can identify with, I came out of school ready to treat the world and $170,000 in debt, borrowed 15 grand to start my office, and worked at a rehab office part-time to finance the rest of the start. 3 years in, I purchased another office, subluxation based, and my total debt was now $330,000 with about 7 grand a month in loan payments. My history of contact sports and other injuries ended up giving me migraines about 2 to 3 days a week, and I was actually afraid that my career would end before my debts were repaid due to the pain that I was feeling. Power that made the body heals the body, right? But it wasn't happening for me, and I didn't really know what to do. And fortunately, a laser demo that came into my office got rid of 90% of my migraine in one day on that episode, and I signed a $25,000 lease for a laser, and I never looked back. How many people does this sound familiar to? Type yes in the chat box if you've gone through something like this, stress and debt, and but just wanting to help people at the end of it all. And it's okay. It's okay that you went through that. It's the natural progression of things. I told a story like this to a kind of unlikely mentor of mine, and how stressed I was, and he had the audacity to tell me, "Good." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "That's kind of mean, don't you think?" He says, "No." He goes, "It's good that you struggled, because now you know what it means. You never want to go back there again, and now you've become resourceful enough to get out of it." So what did I learn from that statement after I finished being offended? I learned that I had to change, and how to use that change to develop and prosper. And that resisting it was also resisting my own progress. So why should you want to innovate your practice? Well, I have a pretty easy answer for that. Straight from Darwin, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one that's most adaptable to change. This kind of says it all. That's what your practice needs, and the reason for it evolving. The market is changing. Market needs are changing. Ability to access information for your patients is changing. Everybody has a Google Doctorate these days. Everybody has an idea of what is out there. They just need a little help finding it at times. And this means that all fields have to harness development. They have to stay current, and they have to stay relevant to survive. But this change in the market gives chiropractors a very unique opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to use new tools to get chiropractic in front of more people as they realize the great work that we can do. So, here's kind of where it all started, the real reason for evolution. Can't take it anymore. I'm out of here. I felt like this with the usual chiropractic grind, and I needed to change things to both serve my patients better, serve myself better, and to serve my family better by no longer working 6 days a week and then spending that 7th day thinking about work. If you're thinking that you can't take it anymore, the way things are, and you're hungry for some positive change, then your practice must evolve. So why is technology the way to evolve your practice? It's central to the practice of the future. Simply put, new treatment technology gives you ability to more easily treat conditions in a new way and achieve better results. Our different capabilities with technology is different than our hands alone, just like our hands offer different capabilities than the modalities. The two in concert can produce synergistic results. For example, in my case, spinal decompression and laser reduced the axial compressive force on a disc and reduced pain, reduced inflammation, and helped the body on its way to healing. And then the adjustment that I added to that gets it spine perfectly moving and moving perfectly and aligned again. The synergy made perfect sense. And, do you want to enhance your practice, or do you want to do the exact same things you're doing with the results you're getting, the same results you're getting now until the end of your career? Or do you feel like you want to change to get you out of that routine and absolutely loving your practice again? Most importantly, do you want to achieve better and faster results with difficult patients and get paid better for doing it? And I would bet that it's a yes to all of those questions. So technology increases your efficiency. It reduces your labor. It can be run by assistants, frees up your time to treat others, and it is easier on your body. I was getting headaches because of the consistent whiplash injuries I was giving myself by adjusting lumbar spines. You should really only perform the necessary tasks, and it took me a long time to understand that. Tasks requiring clinical judgment and all the controlled acts like adjusting and acupuncture, those are the things you need to be doing. You can focus on these tasks and let assistants use your technology. Technology also increases your revenue. It increases it by adding a service that you can charge more per visit for. And people understand this. You don't even have to perform it, which is incredible. When we introduced technology to the practice, price went up. We started at $80 to $100 for decompression and laser. Our adjustments were $40. Every time I brought the price up on the adjustment, you bet everybody mentioned it. When I brought technology in and the starting price was $80, people understood that technology cost more money, and there wasn't any type of issue with that. So the technology will be perceived as new and improved. And if you'd like to know what I mean by new and improved, for me, that was spinal decompression and laser, two of my favorite modalities. And this, what you're looking at here, is the original prototype, our engineering drawings. So we have a new engineer now, just in case you're wondering. But we were originally going to strap an aquarium to the bottom of the table, but we decided the combination of water and electronics plus man-eating sharks was probably a little bit too much risk. And every discipline improves. So medicine, here we go. They adopted a dolphin with a switchblade for surgical interventions, but actually it kind of shot them in the foot, because the problem they found was dolphins were so intelligent that they already knew surgery wasn't the best course of action in most cases. So, well, maybe this isn't real, but these statistics are back pain. 80% of the population experiences back or neck pain at some point in their lives. We know this. We maybe don't like this statistic. Well, as chiropractors, I guess we do, because it keeps us in business. But of that 80%, I don't know if you guys still find this, but about 80% of that 80%, only 15% of the population, they say, will consider using a chiropractor. So this is kind of the statistic I remember from when I was in school. Has that changed in recent years? I'm not sure if it has. Type your estimations in the text box if you like. But let's just, for the sake of argument here, 15%. What does this mean? This means that 65% of the population are still not considering you as a chiropractor when they experience back pain. So 80% has back pain. 15% of that will consider you as a chiropractor. That means only 65% of the patients are not, 65% of the population are not considering you as a chiropractor. This monkey was as shocked as I was, even more so. We are neuromusculoskeletal specialists, and 65% of the population won't come to us to help alleviate their pain. When I started thinking in those terms and I realized those are the people that we need to get to, that changed everything. Those are the people that we are going to increase our utilization to. Those are the people that are most likely not getting the solutions they need elsewhere. So we need to attract those people, and we need to fix those people. Because if we do, and we fix their problems, we've not only helped a much larger segment of the population, but we've also proved our worth to populations of patients that were chiropractic skeptics in the first place. And how powerful do you think that is, docs? I think that is incredibly powerful, and I think that's the only thing that's going to push our utilization rate up. My mind was blown. We have to fix this. And I also have to fix a leaf blower to my daughter's frozen Jeep, and I know the solution to both. Duct tape and tie downs for the Jeep and leaf blower, but for increasing our utilization to patients who need us to give them answers, it's to offer innovative solutions. We need to think differently about the way we practice. We can't increase our utilization very drastically by marketing the service that patients are skeptical of to the patients that are skeptical of it. That takes an enormous amount of energy and convincing, and we've all been there. We've all been in the reporting findings where the patient is deer in the headlights or the patient is standoffish because they don't like what you're saying. It doesn't mean we shouldn't market the adjustment, but it just means that there's an easier way to get patients into our offices, easier way to get patients to trust us, to see our value, and ultimately believe in what we're doing. In my office, patients come in for laser-enhanced spinal decompression and end up getting adjusted. Even patients that are strongly opposed to getting adjusted when they come in end up seeing all the people that get adjusted and begin to have faith in what I do. They say, I've seen all these other people getting adjusted, and do you think I can try that too? So we can't solve a problem by using the same thinking that we used to create the problem. Nice Albert Einstein quote that fits perfectly into this situation. We have to change the way we do things, if only a little. Peter Drucker said that if you don't change if you don't have an enterprise that doesn't innovate, inevitably ages and declines, and in a period of rapid change as the present, the decline will be fast. We need to progress or we will regress. If you don't change what you do once in a while, you'll stagnate. There's only so many different ways to present the same thing. I believe this is one of the key areas we struggle with as chiropractors. How many different patient management systems can we try, thinking each one of them is a magic bullet for marketing the same product, that being the chiropractic adjustment? Now, again, I'm not downplaying the adjustment, and I'm just saying that adding to our offerings gets us noticed, and that is what we need. Even Tim Hortons, who, coffee, do they really need to market that? No, but they have to change up their menu and offer new products to keep sales moving, and we're just being foolish if we think as chiropractors we're somehow immune to that. No field is. Medicine, consumer products, electronics, new things and new ways of presenting things is what keeps business thriving. It will keep new patients coming to your door, and it will keep old patients coming back for new things to the place that they trust. True innovation is coming up with a product that the customer doesn't even know they needed. Many of your patients don't even know they need technology. It's up to you to be the educator. We know this. The doctor that they need to get the relief they shouldn't have to live without. Or I should say that the health that they shouldn't have to live without. As I said, pain relief is merely the gateway to getting those patients on chiropractic maintenance care. So we don't ignore chiropractic maintenance care, but we need another way to get that extra amount of patients into our office and show them how valuable it is what we do. So I argue that it is our responsibility as health leaders and patient educators to help patients understand what their options are and to offer them those options. Henry Ford had said if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And he did reasonably well with the introduction of the automobile. A few of us still use those. He was well aware of this. He needed to be the educator that showed them a new way. And you as the doctor and the educator need to do the same thing. And you might get some resistance. Larry Ellison, co-founder Oracle, said when you innovate, you've got to be prepared for people telling you that you're nuts. Well, I don't have to tell any chiropractor the truth of this statement. I would argue that all of you have experienced this. The amount of resistance you get from people that say, oh, they don't believe in chiropractors. The first time I got told this was first year of practice at my wife's company Christmas party. A guy across the table. He says, oh, I don't believe in chiropractors. So I said to him in front of a table of people, well, why don't you come over here and pinch me and you can prove that I'm real. I got a real good laugh, but I got to be honest, it was a massive insult. I felt humiliated in a room full of people after that, having to defend what I know is so right. And when I started employing decompression laser in my office, I got the same resistance from a member of my staff that I considered influential and helpful in my early chiropractic career. They said it was a fad, and when the smoke cleared over, it would just be back to business as usual, like it had always been with all the previous doctors in my practice. And I took that really hard, made me doubt myself. And that was my first taste of resistance with technology. But almost 10 years later, over 10 years later, I think at this point, and after my patents, my entire practice and manufacturing company being based on this idea that was simply going to come and go in the eyes of someone I looked up to for guidance in my early chiropractic career, that feels awesome. That should make you feel good too, because sometimes resistance is how you know you're onto something valuable. Chiropractic is valuable. You need to tell everybody about it. You're going to encounter some resistance. And there's going to be some chiropractors, some of you on this call, that are skeptical about technology being inclusive in your office, but I'm not surprised by that, and I expect that because something we're all too familiar with as chiropractors. I call it the chiropractor's paradox. Subluxation-based versus pain relief-based. We all know about it. We've all experienced its ravages. Why is that always the case? The first 3 years of practice were hell for me because of this false paradox. Am I a straight chiropractor or am I a pain-based chiropractor? I was reading books that told me to make the subluxation diagnosis as serious to the patient as cancer. They may cry, They may ask you questions. They may be scared. That was my breaking point. I mean, as a chiropractor educated in both philosophical and evidence-based realms of the profession, I fully believe that subluxation or motion restriction, however you want to term it, is serious. But could I in good conscience have a patient break down in tears over it? Absolutely not. Having had health issues and being from a family that's been touched by serious life-threatening disease, can never put a patient in that position. I present it for what it is. The results of subluxation, motion restriction, disc injuries, anything we come into contact with as chiropractors can develop serious physical and psychological complications. And we do have the tools in a lot of cases to help patients with that. It's the important point. We can, in the majority of cases, get people out of pain or at least reduce it, and then transition them to a more spine-friendly, healthy lifestyle, incorporating valuable maintenance adjustments. But I'll tell you, docs, quite often, if you scare them into that treatment, they may believe you for a little while, but they're going to leave eventually, and they're going to be afraid to come back. And that's not the way to run a long-term business. If you're going to be in practice for any more than 3 years, you need to do it a different way. So when you come to a fork in the road, Yogi Berra said, take it. Utilize both the maintenance-based and pain-based type of practices to your advantage. Give the patient what they want, and then give the patient what they need. Pain gets your patients in the door. Fix them and you have a lifetime patient. I'd argue with not trying to change their way of thinking when they come in. They're in too much pain to listen. You know, patients come to you and say, I don't care what you do, just fix me. You don't want a three-visit report of findings, sequence, and all this stuff like that. They just want you to fix them. So do it with whatever means you have available. And if you have some interesting things available to get rid of their pain quick, that's going to help them immensely. And I would feel like I was doing them a disservice if I gave them any less than that. And how many high volume focused offices have patients feeling like they're on an assembly line? That, for me, really bothered me. Some docs might like it and love it, and that's fine. But for me, it wasn't the best thing that I could offer, and I needed to do something different. So your spinal tapping volume does not have to go to 11. You don't have to be focused on volume. If you want to, that's fine, but a lot of you don't. This is what it felt like for me to be focused on high volume. And I love the Spinal Tap movie, so, I had to throw that in. But being more concerned with my numbers, I was more concerned with my numbers than I was with my results. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't have time with all those high numbers. And I bet I'm not the only one in here that's ever felt that pressure. Hearing all these high volume guys that say, I treat 500 people a week. My office sees 1,000 a week. To me, it seems insane. My apologies to anyone on the call that this works with, but my point is not to get consumed by it. It's not your be all and end all. It's not what makes you a better chiropractor. And to me, it's incredibly stressful. There are other ways you can practice if you want to that will resonate better with you and still give you the best. You still give the best to your patients. Don't compete on numbers, thinking that the more people you treat, the greater good you're servicing. Greater good you're serving and getting chiropractic to the masses, because it really doesn't have to be like that. Other professions have enormous success with using these type of synergies. Dentistry, for example, we like to compare chiropractic to tooth maintenance all the time. And, maintenance keeps big problems away, but obviously not always. People still get cavities in dentistry, and they've historically made their move from fixing dental emergencies to stressing importance of maintenance care. And dentistry has also developed big technologies, amazing technologies to help with the big problems, and they've made it big business. You've seen your bill when you go to the dentist. And I know a dentist with a private plane, so he must be doing okay. His office is highly technologically driven, though, and I can't help thinking that is his advantage. And guess what? Chiropractic is coming that way, too. We need to just start thinking about it this way. Just think, if dentistry relied on minimal development of tech, this is what you'd see in a dentist's office. Maybe the pliers and a bottle of scotch or something cheaper to get the job done. So limitation of matter matters. We talk about the power that made the body heals the body. But what happens when that limitation of matter is reached? We've all had patients like that that we think we just can't help. Can the maintenance patients blow out a disc? Of course. Maintenance adjustments reduce the strain, but if maintenance adjustments eliminated the stress on the spine, then we wouldn't get disc injuries at all, theoretically. A massive contributor to the chiropractic profession, Ben Altadonna, chiropractor that is out there every day inspiring chiropractors and doing wonderful things in the profession. He's quoted as saying, chiropractic's problem isn't that it's misunderstood, it's that it fails to understand the market. And he's absolutely right. We continue to want to give patients what we want to give them, but what about what they want? You know, the truth is the majority of difficult disc cases that don't consider us do so because they don't think we have the tools, and in most cases we don't. We need to equip ourselves with the proper tools to do the job of giving patients the relief they want, and then give them the maintenance they need. That's why relief care needs maintenance care needs relief care. That is what your patients need. That is what the profession needs, and that is why your office needs both. So the solution to this chiropractic paradox is employing therapeutic technology, plus the best of pure chiropractic to equal the most true expression of the chiropractic oath. The stuff that has divided the chiropractic profession for years, in my opinion, is absolutely ridiculous. We all have the same whys, yet we continue to argue about how much about the hows. I don't really care. You know, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I don't care if principal chiropractic tells me, well, technology isn't chiropractic. And I don't care if evidence-based chiropractic tells me, well, the chiropractic principles are untested theories at best. That's not what counts. If you think that's what counts, you're not getting the point. What counts is, does it help the patient? That's the question we need to think about every time we lay our hands on a patient. That's the only thing that matters. And that is what we set our oath to in the first place. Just for, you know, an excerpt here. Chiropractic oath, I will keep physical, mental, and spiritual needs of the sick as my first and foremost duty, ever searching for and correcting the cause of their disease to the best of my ability, insofar as my science is in the highest precepts of my alma mater and harmonious with the vis medicatrix naturae. So, I'll keep the needs of my patients at top of mind. I will always be searching for new ways to correct the cause of their diseases, and I will employ the best of these solutions to the best of my ability. I will do so by applying the highest expression of my scientific knowledge combined with my knowledge of the natural laws of healing. This binds me to not only apply what I've learned in the past, but be open-minded to the new for no other reason than my commitment to the physical, mental, and spiritual needs of my patients. I have to keep applying things to stay true to my oath. But as an almost disturbingly ironic bonus, this helps my business in leaps and bounds. So if you think melding these two camps of thought in your practice and in the profession can't be done, well, why not? Let's quote Walt Disney here. If you can dream it, you can do it. Always remember, this whole thing was started by a mouse. This whole thing was started by one adjustment that reportedly restored somebody's hearing. And make that apply to everything you do from here on, whether it's business or outside life. Of course, respecting the laws of physics, because contradictory to what R. Kelly says, you cannot fly. In fact, it's probably a good idea to not listen to much of his advice at all. You know, and over the past few years, I've been to Disneyland a few times with my family, and I'm floored by that. It started with a mouse. The amount of happiness it brings the world, and I know it brings a lot of money to a lot of people, but the amount of happiness that place brings families from different socioeconomic statuses, everybody's smiling, everybody's friendly. You know, it's unbelievable what it started from. And, you know, my point is, you know, what is stopping you from being as creative as you want in your practice? Because your practice is chiropractic Disneyland. Disneyland will never be completed, neither will your practice. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in the world and left in your mind as the doctor. You are chiropractic Walt Disney in your practice. likely minus a few $1 billion, but plus a heartbeat. So you have a distinct advantage. My point is your practice doesn't have to be static. The market is always changing, so your practice can constantly change. Or to put it better, make it what you always want it to be. I wanted a rehab office when I started, then I wanted subluxation based, and then I realized I like both, so I did both. And it's okay if that changes. Just make it yours. Make it a place that resonates with you, and patients that resonate with you will be there with you. Continual development and improving what you can do for patients, that's what you have to pay attention to, and all the business stuff will follow after that. Think of how many lives you can touch, how many lives are improved with the acts you do as a chiropractor, and you should feel great about that. Think about the trickle-down effect. Think about the father that can pick up his child when he couldn't due to pain, and you can fix that. And that father, that child grows up with a solid memory of the father and a solid relationship because of, the person wasn't inhibited by pain. Think of how this can affect a life, a family, ultimately a community in the world, and you do this every day. And I don't know about you, but that's a pretty humbling thought. That's why it's important to always be doing the best we can. Technology can, without a doubt, step up your game and help you treat people in ways that, may have been out of your realm before. New technology is not so Mickey Mouse. It brings big things to your practice. I guess we could actually say that, new technology is Mickey Mouse because it all started from one idea. This one idea develops your number one success factor, which is called a USP, or unique selling proposition. It's what makes people choose you over your competition. It's what makes you different. What makes you stand out from your competition and ensure your success and a steady flow of new patients that already know what you want, or they want what you have to offer. Without it, what do you compete on? Hours, price? That means you have to be open the longest and have the cheapest price, and nobody really wants to do that. And surprise, most practices don't have a USP because we're conditioned to think that our practices are not businesses. As soon as I started thinking this way and realized I didn't really have a USP, I saw that most practices offer similar techniques, similar services, and I realized that where the competition struggles to survive, the unique will thrive. As soon as I started with my first laser, it became very apparent very quickly. Old patients were coming in, elderly patients that couldn't be adjusted anymore, wanted me to use it on their knees, couldn't be manually adjusted anymore. We still did activator, that type of thing, but or people that didn't want to be adjusted in the first place wanted my laser. Every time I introduced a new piece of equipment, I experienced this, and this became my business model. And this is how every business works. New models, new products, offerings. And some of you will have to forgive me. I came from a very basic business knowledge when I started my practices. You may have known more about businesses than me when you started out, but I started reading everything I could get my hands on and learn from to apply to my practice because I was struggling to survive. I went into massive amounts of debts to pay my employees the first couple of years when I bought the second practice. And it was because of that I discovered how to use technology to my advantage. The doctor that I bought my practice from actually came in and admitted to me 3 years after I purchased it that he, quote, sold me a sinking ship and thought I'd be out of business within 2 years. He said, I was relieved to see that you made a go of it, and I'm happy that you made it successful. That's crazy. The guy sold me something he thought I was going to bankrupt me because he was afraid of it bankrupting him. And it shows me that, with a will to work hard and a library card, paraphrasing John Mayer, you can accomplish anything. And I know it's cliched, but I'm living it, and I bet so are you. And if you're not, you absolutely can. So new technology gives you enhanced abilities to treat your patients and enables you to appear unique to a prospective new patient. This is the thinking that led me to develop laser-enhanced spinal decompression and ultimately the spine specialist table. I started employing laser in 2006 or so and called it laser-enhanced spinal decompression, partly because decompression seemed like a great combination to deal with both compressive forces on the disc, and laser was great for the soft tissue damage. I had 7 rooms, was ridiculously busy, so much so that I had a waiting list for new patients to get in. I hated that because patient that was in pain had to wait a week or a week and a half to see me. And I wanted people to get in quick. I didn't want them to have to wait. So I joked to a patient that if I had a table that could do it for me, I'd be ahead of the game. And I actually had an idea to do that, and it was just luck that I mentioned it to the right person at the right time. She said, funny, I'm helping market a physio table company right now. Maybe they could help. I said, well, I have an idea, so maybe they can build my prototype. And the rest was history. Spine Specialist was born simply from an idea to appear unique to my direct market, meaning my practice to appear unique. An idea for something that is improving value, or that is proving valuable to the healthcare industry as a whole, was born from that desire to appear a little different. That's the power of your ideas. Your ideas can disrupt your market in a positive way and get you noticed by target consumers. It can even lead to the creation of a disruptive technology that can improve your capabilities and that of your industry. So let's define what I mean by disruptive technology. It's an innovation that creates a new market and value network that eventually disrupts an existing market, displacing established, leading firms and products and alliances. Think of the Walkman, the CD to iPod, eventually to iPhone. Now the thought of I could get my email, my music on my internet on my phone 20 years ago was ridiculous. I resisted that change, and I'm amazed now how many things I'm able to get done with a smartphone. And chiropractic can benefit from that same disruptive improvement. Just think of all the things you can do with your patients with enhanced capabilities. The best part is disruptive technology is actually what the market wants. Think about Apple. Their sales go through the roof every time they introduce a new product. People always want a new offering, and this is why I created the Spine Specialist, because people are always looking for new technology. If you're an Apple user, here's the example. How do you milk sheep? Release a new iPhone. Now, I apologize. I'm really not trying to, insult anyone here, but I'm trying to illustrate that companies profit from disruptive technologies. They created a cult-like following, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the name of the game. That's what success looks like. And anyone who makes fun of their success is just jealous of it. Truthfully, Apple is brilliant. Another disruptive technology, Uber. The market gets what the market wants. I don't always take a taxi, but when I do, it's Uber. Uber has turned the taxi industry on its head. So another disruptive technology. But, imagine this was your taxi driver. So whatever you do, do not be talking to him, even if he's the only one there. Other disruptive medical technology, dentist, robotics, surgical robotics, dental drill, dental laser, arthroscopic surgeries, laser eye surgery, arguably the most disruptive technology in recent years. Think of how this has turned the vision correction industry on its head, and it took an industry that's based its entire revenue stream on selling contact lenses and glasses, and it performs a procedure that eliminates the need for these. These procedure costs essentially what glasses would cost you for 15 or 20 years, and that's how the math makes sense. More medical disruption, the X-ray. So text box, anybody points for what type of spine this is? What's the finding? And that's a Sherman's. MRI, we can see what's in the body even better now. And anybody want to chime in on what the diagnosis for this is? And it is a T2 weighted image showing grade 2 anterolisthesis of L5 along with L5 S1 intervertebral disc degeneration. So these two things bring us to chiropractic's own disruptive technology. We're following the footsteps of giants here. Innovation at its best. My philosophy for innovation in creating the Spine Specialist was borrowing from the successes that technology has had in evolving so many other professions. Why should we, in the realm of pain relief and health optimization, with so much good that we can do for our patients, be left behind in this evolution? We don't have to be. My goal is always for the Spine Specialist to help patients with back pain on the same scale that laser eye surgery has helped those with vision deficiencies, but also to help doctors that want to offer advanced technology to their patients to get better results, both with patient outcome and business-wise. Think of all the vision care specialists that have based their entire massive incomes on laser vision correction. Why can't we as chiropractors follow the same business model? And I can't think of a reason why we can't. Market domination is really all we're trying to achieve with this type of thing. Think of unique companies that dominate their markets. I mentioned, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Uber. They tell a story that appeals to and attracts, making customers want what they have to offer. And does your practice do this now? And how do you dominate the market you're in, and who do you compete with? How successful do you think you'd be if you were immune to the competition due to the fact that you provide a very specialized, unique treatment? When medical doctors started seeing what I was able to offer, they started referring patients. One actually came in and got her knee done, and we're actually referring patients after that. People are beginning to understand that we're not just regular crack doctors. We have more capabilities. And if you find ways to get your practice noticed, it has that type of effect. So what would you have created through this market domination? You minimize the effects of competition. A business model that virtually eliminates your effects of perceived competition and the effects that it has on you because you do something so different than them. The technology provides a leap ahead of competition. Gets you noticed. It levels up the respective industry. If patients see the technology and experiences the success that they were not able to find anywhere else, just think of how they will view your office. They view it as cutting edge and highly capable. They're now solid in their belief that you know what you're doing. And so often I've had referrals come into me and see my ads and my videos and say, well, I can tell you know your stuff, and if anybody can fix me, I know you can. Well, between you and me, do I really know my stuff? I do as well as any other chiropractor. I've learned to employ my knowledge in specific ways that maybe others haven't thought of, but there are chiros on this call that know the deep science way better than I do. But to me, that's all relative. The perception, though, is that the patient has confidence in my abilities because of how I apply the technologies that I work with. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. That's why a patient comes to you in the first place, and that's why they'll continue to come to you. They begin to view you just like they're renowned specialists. And how many times have you heard a patient come in, say, oh, my family doc got me in to see the top specialist for my knee? Well, I hear this all the time, and I see that, the ones that consider surgery before they find us, they always say, oh, I'm seeing the top dog. How many top specialists can there actually be? My guess is pretty much only one, and for some reason they never seem to have the same names. So, it also creates, they always have the same names. So, medical referrals. They're kind of a big deal. Mainstream medical initially trusts and understands technology easier than they do chiropractic at first. Medical referrals are the ultimate practice food source. But let's face it, they're a massive potential feeder in our practice, whether we like it or not. We may not like it, but it's true. Imagine you had family doctors constantly referring to your office. You wouldn't have to advertise or ask for referrals. You'd be too busy servicing patients that are sent to you by overworked medical offices. How are you going to get them to notice you, though, and have enough faith in what you do to send their patients to you for help? For any of you that have tried, you know that it's very hard to get an audience with mainstream medical. I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but there's an easier way to gain trust and credibility than hammering the chiropractic philosophy into them and hoping they change their perspectives. What if you do such a phenomenal job with their referrals that their own patients start talking positively about what you do? Only then will you be able to get the audience to talk about the big picture about what chiropractic represents. And I've experienced it firsthand with doctors that have come into my office and then start referring their patients. People understand that we're not just crack doctors now. Technology also breeds innovation. It creates fertile ground for new creation. This guy did okay with it. He was a leader. Everything Steve Jobs did was building from an initial idea, an initial innovation that started it all, because innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. It makes you think of other ways to use and promote what you do. I've come up with a number of spin-offs and offerings myself, building on what I already do with technology in my practice, and I'm constantly looking for new things to employ. I wouldn't think of it like that unless I'd taken the initial tech leap in the first place. It snowballs, and sometimes you end up with more great ideas than you can actually implement. And that's not a problem though, because then you always have something up your sleeve to give you an edge. The tech creates buzz in your practice. Your office buzzes with renewed energy when you introduce a new direction or addition. It shows that you keep up with your advancements and are cutting edge in the eyes of your patients and staff. It energizes the environment by creating new opportunities. And it gives patients, staff, and doctors something new to be excited about. In other words, shows your patients that you care enough to invest in their results, and your employees that you care enough to add new excitement to their environment. So I suggest adding something new every few years. It keeps everyone motivated, patients, staff, doctors alike. New product introductions exactly this way. Again, just look at Apple, and especially the Jobs years of Apple. And let's talk about, lastly, how to enhance through technology. Let's use my case study. There are many technology options, but I'll focus on my two favorites again, decompression and laser. Many of you likely have some experience with these, but I'll just quickly explain the separate technologies from my perspective. Spinal decompression reduces pressure on the spine, reduces axial pressure, helps reestablish lost disc height, and the therapy cycles through distraction, relaxation, creating negative pressure called vacuum, the vacuum effect. And here's the famous picture that illustrates that fact. Laser is a completely safe and effective modality for reducing inflammation, reducing pain, swelling around the discs and joints, and providing significant relief. It also further increases circulation and cell healing energy through stimulation of the mitochondria. It triggers a cellular healing process to occur at a much faster rate. And here's our laser in the spine specialist table, looking straight down on it. Here is effect of the laser on the nerve root and on the disc. What we've simply done is combine these two into the same device to do at the same time. So it accomplishes two goals: reduces axial pressure, reduces disc bulging with non-surgical spinal decompressive traction, and then the laser simultaneously reduces pain, reduces inflammation, and allows the stretch to occur at a much more comfortable rate. So I initially packaged laser enhanced spinal decompression using decompression and a handheld class 3B laser. This worked phenomenally, and I got insanely busy with 7 rooms and an 8 for overflow. Although it was awesome to be so busy, it created a logistical nightmare in my office, and trying to schedule all these rooms and move patients in pain from decompression rooms to lasers rooms and vice versa. I thought there had to be a better way, and that led to the spine specialist prototype. A busy office on a Saturday ironically led to the right patient waiting for treatment and me joking with her about having to have a table that did it all for me. It ended up doing all the work for me. In the end, it took 15 minutes to do the 45 minutes of work that doing the treatment separately did. It led to doing all the work in the same room at the same time with only physical labor required as actually setting the patient up. It led to doing all the work to increase my patient throughput. Three times the amount of patients could be treated in the same period of time. It led to doing all the work for me so I could go and treat patients in my 6 other free rooms that were now freed up for adjustments and other revenue generating needs. It led to doing all the work for me in spreading the word far and wide about the new thing that Dr. Jagger has and nobody else does. Well, now some other doctors are enjoying this, and not just Dr. Jagger. Patients that Dr. Jagger will never meet in offices that he will never see are enjoying the benefits the treatment the spine specialist can provide. And I'm proud to say that taking the leap of faith to include technology in my practice was the catalyst that started it all. I'm also proud to say that I have a daughter and a wife that I get to spend more time with and do cooler things with. Technology was this catalyst as well, and technology can be your catalyst. So when to revolutionize your practice? Well, how do I decide if moving towards a more technology-based practice is right for me? Well, everyone always worries about the cost, what it actually comes down to, the dollars and cents of investing in technology. But I urge you to think about it with that one word, investment. You need to invest in your practice. It boils down to value and return on that investment. Equipment is an asset. You need to think about, is the equipment making me money? And it does. An investment that makes money work for you is what equipment is. And when I was struggling in my practice early on, patient gave me a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and if you haven't read it, you got to read it. The main point is the difference between assets and liabilities. Liabilities pay you and assets cost you. He talks about income properties. So at the time, being $300,000 in debt, I couldn't have a down payment on an income property, but I could qualify for a lease on a laser and decompression table, and those two pieces of equipment could and did make me an average of 10 times what the payment for the equipment cost per month. Equipment usually provides a much higher return on investment than any investment you can make. We're pretty lucky in that way, and income properties don't even give that type of return. You know, maybe in the Toronto housing market right now they do, but this is something that you can enjoy the benefits of in your practice as soon as you include a new, unique piece of technology on top of what you already do. Or maybe you're looking for a shift in focus or to get excited about some new practice directions, and that's great too. The point is the technology is an asset that creates solid, positive, accretive value to your practice. To make that decision, you only need to answer 3 questions. If technology did nothing more than reduce the labor requirements on you, allowing you to take some extra time off and shift your focus to working in the business as much as you work, or working on the business as much as you work in the business, would it be worth it? And for me, it was. I'm able to spend more time with my family. Working is an endless cycle, and technology can really help you pace yourself and get a little bit more time to do your leisure things. Number 2, if technology did nothing more than improve your outcomes with patients, getting them better faster and more effectively, also giving you the ability to achieve great results with even the difficult cases you didn't have a success with in the past, would it be worth it? Well, for me, absolutely. That's what it was all about. I was working a ridiculous amount of my time, and now I work 24 hours a week. That's my office schedule. The practice, makes a 2.5 or 3-day week totally, about $320,000. So it doubled, it added a massive amount to my income just from the adjusting practice. So absolutely, it was worth it for me. If it did nothing more than attract 3+ new patients to your office every week through organic word of mouth, would it be worth it? Absolutely. If patients were attracted to your practice because of technology, then it would be worth it. If your amount that you're charging is anywhere between $1,000 and $2,500 for a decompression laser program, some of the treatment plans are even higher. Would it be worth it? Well, that could be a minimum of $7,500 per week with new patient traffic. Realistically, over $150,000 per year on the conservative side, and $360,000 per year on the reasonably possible side, and that's not including patients you already treat. How would that affect your practice and your life? Well, if that's what you want, Thomas Jefferson has your answer. If you want something you've never had, you got to do something that you have never done. If you want new results, patient and business-wise, you got to do something new, simply put. And everything you want is on the other side of fear. This is Jack Canfield. I'm going to finish it off where my journey started. One of Jack Canfield's books, The Success Principles. I love quotes. I love the inspiration that comes from them. And I love the things that can be achieved through inspiration. So I end it with this quote about refocusing your business efforts and stepping onto the other side of fear to get what you want. I have to remind myself constantly of this, because with my clinic and my manufacturing facility and presenting a new product to a new number of people, it's very uncomfortable, and I'm going to get people that love it, and I get people that criticize it, and I'm just getting comfortable with that. And it's okay that you go through that as well. It's okay to be uncomfortable, because if you're completely comfortable, you aren't going anywhere that's worth the trip. Throw hesitation out the window and make whatever change you think that will positively affect your life, the practice, and the lives of your patients. I hope that I've given you some inspiration here and some good information. I thank you immensely for your time and your attention. As I said, that's the most valuable thing that you can give. And I hope that I've given you back something very valuable. I wish you all the best in your family, your business, and beyond.